You're standing on a normal street. Beneath you, a hidden city breathes. Tonight we follow secret tunnels, from Rome's papal escape route to Washington's sealed corridors. I'll show you the map that doesn't close, the station that died but still hums, and a simple trick to spot a bricked-up doorway in your own city. Are these passages still used, or are we chasing shadows? The documents whisper yes. The officials say no. My doubt is alive, and I want yours too. Stay with me, to test rumor against stone, step by step. If the walls answer, we keep going. If they don't, the questions will. If you want the map that doesn't close, subscribe and keep going underground. You stand on a quiet street and feel a faint breath through the cracks at your feet. It smells like limestone, cold metal, old paper. A city exhales from below. Down there, light becomes a rumor. Footsteps bend the air. Secrets travel faster than sound. Tonight, you and I follow. A them, from Rome to Washington, and further if the doors agree to open. We will ask the ground questions most archives dodge. If you want the map that doesn't close, subscribe and keep going underground. Why now? Because cities dig and the past leaks. Because renovations reveal what oaths once sealed. Because the oldest chambers are patient and our century is loud. Also because silence breaks unevenly. Sometimes one memo is declassified. Sometimes a brick shifts after rain. Sometimes a guard speaks because he's retiring. So we begin in Rome, because Rome prefers layers. You turn off the Tiber's traffic and slip behind a high wall. A stone corridor rises, narrow as a thought you don't want to share. Locals call it the Passetto di Borgo. It links the Vatican to Castel Sant'Angelo, a fortress that started as a tomb. In 1527, during the sack, a pope escaped here. History wrote that in ink. The scratches on the walls wrote it in dust. You trail a wavering candle in your mind and count niches. A boot heel hesitates where the floor swells. There is always a swell where another passage joins. One legend claims a door branches toward a monastery that no longer exists. If the monastery is gone, what is that door attached to? Absence can be a map. You climb out of Rome with the taste of ash and lime, and Paris meets you with bone. The catacombs hold 6 million dead, but the line you follow is older than the bones. Galleries carved to mine building stone became arteries of the city. Look for a quarry mark, 1777, a mason's initials, chisel bites neat as stitches. The past signed its work when it wasn't hiding. A lantern sweeps a low ceiling. Someone has set a chessboard on a packing crate, black rook missing. Maybe carried deeper by a player who refused stalemate. Walls whisper with names, streets that no longer sit above the same voids. A passage narrows, then stops against a poured slab. Security, the stencil says. Safety is a word that widens when you push it. Follow the air. It knows where engineers punched ventilation shafts. It knows where arguments ended with concrete. You ride a night train under London without a driver. The car is the size of a kitchen table. This is the post office railway, the mail rail, opened in 1927. Tiny electric coaches carried letters in darkness for decades. Once a clerk dropped a brass token, it rolled under a rail. Clip and slept there until 2003. Pick it up in imagination. It is warm because the tunnel remembers body heat. Objects inherit temperature from stories. The tunnels curve like handwriting. You feel the hand. It presses hard on certain words. Sorting office, Mount Pleasant spur line. London keeps other rooms that pretend to be dead. Aldwych closed in 1994, but its platforms still receive film crews and dust. A station that acts for a living. You surface in New York and step into a room that forgot how to be public. City Hall Station opened in 1904 with skylights and green glazed tiles. It closed in 1945, too graceful for longer trains. A tiled plaque reads, City Hall. The letters are the size of your palm. They feel like a password that once worked everywhere. Stand by the brass rail and watch the loop where trains don't stop. A city keeps moving, even when it hides its favorite arches. Beauty survives underfoot, pressed like a leaf. If you're still here, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next door we open. Cross to Washington, D.C., where tunnels prefer to pretend they are mere utilities. A web of passages links buildings on Capitol Hill. Steam pipes hum, and chalk arrows point to rooms that don't appear on public tours. Under DuPont Circle, a streetcar station opened in 1949. Closed in 1962, it exhaled darkness for half a century. Now art sometimes borrows it, and history looks on without blinking. You walk a curved platform. Your shoes tap the rhythm of departures that won't return. A hatch is bolted where a corridor once promised daylight. Between Rome and Washington, symbols cross borders faster than trains. In a city of marble temples to ideas, one holds a square and compass. Rumor always wants stairs that go lower. You face the House of the Temple, completed in 1915, granite columns, an inner geometry that feels tuned. People say there are ritual rooms beneath. Aligned with silence, you check a library index card from the 1930s. It notes sub-basement stacks expansion. A proof? No, but a direction to think in. Here is the rule. Rumor is loud, document is quiet, architecture is patient. So you let architecture speak. It speaks in vents, in blocked arches, in corridors that bend for no reason. The best conversations happen between old maps and new ground. Take a city plan from 1880. Lay it over satellite imagery. Edges that don't match begin to twitch like fish under ice. A lane that appears in the old plan becomes a private courtyard today. Your finger traces the lane to a wall. There, a bricked arch interrupts regular masonry. Someone erased a mouth by filling it with teeth of stone. The lintel still carries soot. A fire once stood just inside. Rome teaches you to read layers by church. Descend at San Clemente and you pass a 12th century basilica, then a 4th century church, then the hum of a Mithraeum. You stand before a relief of the god slaying a bull. The carving holds starlight without the sky. You realize a city can keep entire constellations indoors. Paris teaches you to measure distance by humidity. The wetter the stones, the nearer the river. Your candle sputters where the Seine presses a little harder. London teaches you to trust utility labels. GPO on an iron door tells you the post office once owned darkness here. Old acronyms are breadcrumbs. New York teaches you to stop for tiles. Materials betray intent. If it is beautiful, someone thought you might see it. If it is crude, someone hoped you wouldn't. Washington teaches you to listen for fans. Ventilators keep secrets alive by accident. Follow the sound to a junction box that feeds no listed room. Now let's widen the lens. You descend in Istanbul and water receives you. The basilica cistern was built in the 6th century. Columns rise like drowned trees. 2 blocks, carved with Medusa's face, lie sideways, reused as pedestals. Eyes turned so they will watch only the floor. Recycling used to be religious. You take a train of thought east and arrive in Cappadocia. In 1963, a man knocked down a wall and found a passage to Derinkuyu, an underground city large enough to swallow villages. Vent shafts double as periscopes of air. Stables, kitchens, churches, stone doors that roll like planets when danger nears. A civilization practiced hiding. As an art, back across the Atlantic, legends gather under Portland, Oregon. People call them the Shanghai tunnels. Trapdoors, ropes, a sloping chute to a basement hall. Records from the late 19th century tell their own story, uneven and bruised. Some historians argue the numbers don't add up, but the wood remembers boots in the arithmetic of scuffs. In Edinburgh, the South Bridge vaults date to 1788. Rooms tucked beneath arches hosted trades, then strangers. A cobbler's last was found beside a bottleneck, gone soft with time. You can taste coal soot that never learned to leave. A whisper follows your shoulder, like a draft that learned your name. You keep walking because the ground seems to expect it. In Prague, rumors talk of passages between synagogues and cellars. Water undercuts stone, then history undercuts certainty. A locked door bright with condensation tells you the river is near. In Palermo, the Capuchin catacombs feel like a conversation that never ended. Bodies and narrow walkways, a ledger written in bone. The floor hums with pipes that arrived centuries later. In Naples, the Bourbon Tunnel threads the hill. Tool marks shine where bedrock gave a little kindness to chisels. A royal plan became a wartime shelter, then a rumor you can visit. Back in Paris, there are stations that barely belong to time. Saint-Martin closed in 1939, reopened briefly, then chose sleep. Its tiled name hides behind posters layered like tree rings. In Montreal, a warren under the downtown core feels clean like a mall and old like a service corridor. Cities sometimes choose to domesticate the underworld. Comfort can be a disguise. What do these places have in common? They turn direction into narrative. Left at the broken arch, straight past the iron ladder. Pause at the graffiti that says nothing and everything. And why do rumors cling to societies with symbols? Because symbols are designed to work in the dark. A compass and square teach angles without light. A blindfold still points east. Imagine a meeting room with no windows and a table that never bore a stain of sunlight. Imagine the minutes kept in a ledger stamped private. Imagine the ledger stored one level below. You ask, are these societies still down there? I ask, do you need them to be, to feel the gravity? Rooms remember intent even when attendance changes. Safety enters the conversation, because it must. Old tunnels store bad air like jars, store pickles. Pockets of methane wait for sparks that won't come because you're careful. Roofs sag where water forgot to leave. A law will fine you more quickly than a ceiling will fall. Caution is a skeleton key that fits fewer doors but keeps you walking. So how do you read your own city without getting hurt? Start with fire insurance maps, often called sandbournes in North America. They love detail the way water loves low. And places. Trace coal chutes, service alleys, carriage tunnels. Look for curves underground that mirror curves above. Every bend wants a reason. On the street, study vents in long aligned runs. 3 in a row suggest a corridor. An isolated grate suggests a room. Peel your eyes toward basements that sit one step too low. A window at ankle height is a confession. Even brick wants to talk. In archives, ask for utility plans from years when a city modernized. Plumbers see everything and planners label it. Some files sleep under dull names. Wake them gently. When an old map refuses to match the present, don't call it wrong. Call it incomplete, which is more honest and more useful. Incompleteness is a door. You might find a platform walled for safety. Safety for whom exactly? Sometimes the wall protects structure, sometimes it protects a story from overexposure. You might find a dead end that smells faintly of damp books. There was a library near here once. Pages shed molecules the way candles shed light. You might find a tunnel cut by a newer tunnel, like handwriting crossing out handwriting. Cities revise themselves without erasing the first draft. Revision keeps the plot fresh. Return with me to Rome for a last look. Stand where a corridor kisses a centuries-old stone and refuses to tell you where it learned the trick. You hear water that belongs to no fountain above. A map in your hand shows a straight line. The floor under your feet curves, you trust your feet. Someone whispers that the passage leads farther than the guidebooks admit. Someone else shrugs because shrugging is easier than checking. You don't need either voice tonight. The strongest reveal is not a single door. It's the moment you realize the city is a palimpsest and you are reading it forward and back. The tunnels beneath the world's cities are not just routes, they are sentences. Sentences that may pass witnesses, Sentences that carry kings without a crown and letters without a stamp. Sentences that societies finish in symbols rather than words. You walk up into ordinary night and feel taller, not because you stood in hidden rooms, but because you learned to hear them. Each step above is an echo of what lies below. Keep your doubts. They are flashlights that never need batteries. Let the ground answer what it wants, and let the rest feed your curiosity without owning it. When you travel, listen for hollow. Tap a wall with your knuckle and learn its voice. Look for doors that aren't where doors usually are. And when a city closes a corridor for your safety, read the sign twice. We are alive because some things stay closed. We are curious because not everything does. This is where I leave you, at street level, map folded, eyes sharpened. Under you, Rome inhales. Washington exhales. Others keep their breath a secret. The street looks ordinary, the ground does not. We've traced papal escapes, ghost stations, and maps that refuse to close. Are these tunnels still used, or are we hearing echoes? The files feel incomplete. The stone says, "Look again." I'm not certain, and I don't want to be. Doubt is the light we carry underground. Stay with me at the edge of the next door. If it opens, history will whisper. If it doesn't, the questions will only get louder. Subscribe for the next descent, where the floorboards creak over a temple no one admits exists.